Claim denied, not so fast. We'll be talking about that and more right here on the Disability Guru with Roy Rickstrew on K-ROG right after the countdown. We are back on a chilly Monday morning right here at the K-ROG studios in the heart of downtown Rogersville. No, just kidding. We're over here in the Jamestown Center, and we've got Roy Rickstrew, the Disability Guru, with us once again. Yeah. No disability? Not so fast.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They tell you no sometimes?
Yeah, occasionally.
Yeah.
There's a common belief that people have to file and be denied at least once before they get approved.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and it's not true, but the reality of it is that about 2/3 of initial claims are denied. So it certainly feels that way.
Is that because people do it by themselves?
Yeah, it's,
or is that just more across the board?
No, honestly, I think it's more across the board. And honestly, the folks that are at the beginning of the process for Social Security are the least trained and least qualified of the entire program.
Well, and they're not going in front of a judge at that point, right? It's somebody just reviewing it in the office.
That's correct.
At their desk.
And, one of the ways that you handle...
paper.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the ways that you handle the least qualified and least trained folks is you give them a very small rule book to operate out of. And that's what happens with Social Security. There are a lot of very valid arguments that are reserved for the hearings level that the initial claims analysts just aren't really equipped to look at.
Yeah.
And they're real life things, need to alternate positions, sit-stand options, the need for extra breaks, the impact of longer than normal restroom breaks, all very valid things, but there's just not stuff that gets any traction at the initial level.
So realistically, getting a no at the initial level is not really a no. It's just we need to take a closer look at this, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's correct. So, if you're denied initially, you go through a reconsideration process, which is an interesting thing because it used to only be a handful of states that had a reconsideration. Social Security's taken that more across the board, and it's in all states now, including Missouri. But it's essentially a second look. You go back through the same initial process a second time. And I liken it a lot of times to one worker taking your case file from his desk and putting it on the desk of the guy he drinks coffee with.
They just trade files for the review.
Pretty much.
So that second look, that's not a full appeal. Is that what you're saying?
Well, correct. I mean, it's really not. It's kind of just a redo. And, some people get approved there because they do update medical records. And, sometimes the new guy takes a different approach or a different perspective than the old one did. But really the most meaningful appeal is when you do get to go in front of that administrative law judge.
Yeah, and that's where, now you step in the process at any point.
Yeah, that's correct. And there's a benefit to having a representative from any point, especially when you consider the fact that we're paid as a percentage of the past due benefits, regardless of when I sign on to the case.
Right. Well, and I would think that, from a lawyer's perspective, the idea that I really, really, really always hate taking over cases in the middle because I don't know what's been done, particularly what damage has been done by my client or previous counsel before I got to get involved in the matter.
Yeah, and there's a lot of truth to that here in Social Security as well. Some of the questionnaires that they send out to folks have very basic questions, and you don't realize that you're making a mistake until, unfortunately, you have. And one example I use oftentimes is, do you drive? It seems like a yes or no question.
Right.
In reality, it's not. Some people are driving a half mile to Dollar General and struggling to get there.
Oh, yeah.
Other people are headed to Maine for the weekend. Both of those things are driving, and obviously they're vastly different. I had a client before, I think I mentioned, that gardened. Very proud of her garden, and she had 2 potted plants on her back patio. That was her gardening. But a lot of times with these, when clients get involved and do this on their own, they create a lot of problems for themselves that you're right. When I sign on, I have to deal with.
Yep. Hey, good morning, Heather. Thanks for joining us here on the show. My little mouse will work, I'll let people see that you said hi. Well, it's not working. I can't click it. Wonder why that's not doing its thing. It usually puts the little... There you are. Hi, good morning. You have a question for us. That'd be fun to play with here. Do you know, Roy, how often there are cost of living raises in the...
Yeah, it's not yearly.
It's not annually.
It's less than annually. That's correct.
Okay.
It just kind of depends. Some years there's not. Most years there are. This year it's 8.7%. That's due to the cost of inflation, of course. It's up quite a bit. The Medicare premium went down $5.20 this year also. So there's been a little bit of adjustment. It's very pro-client in the adjustments, but
that's good.
It's not common. Usually the cost of living raise is considerably less, and less than once a year.
Okay. Well, Heather, if you have more questions, call Roy, 882-1800. He'd be happy to take your call and get those answers today. Visit his website at urdisabilityrep.com. Any parting thoughts for us today?
Just if you've been denied a couple times, make sure you get your chance to go in front of the administrative law judge. You get to talk to the decision maker personally. You can kind of put them in your shoes and round out your case. A lot of times medical records kind of provide a skeleton, but we don't really have the flesh of the person until we get in there and we're able to talk about how our daily life looks like. But yeah, I'm free today. I have time this afternoon. If you'd like to chat, give me a ring.
All right. Thanks for joining us again, Roy, and thanks for the question, Heather. And we'll be back. We come back next Monday after Christmas.
If you want me to.
That's fine with me.
All right.
I can do it if you can do it.
Yep.
Let's do it. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you then.